suitcase.
I thought it was just the boys leaving this weekend.
What? No, I'm gone this weekend. I'm at Castabon.
Oh, right. That's this weekend. And cat, whatever, Nougat.
Yes.
Chattanooga. Chattanooga.
Jeff is with me this weekend.
Right. Yes, Brad and I talked about it. No, he tells me these things, and I don't know when they're happening. I just know we talked about them. So.
I know they exist somewhere in the realm, but they're not in my daily.
We probably need some of the stuff out of here.
Okay, so anyone that is not you, Brad, how long do you think a normal response to a business email is?
I don't know. If it's me, it's weeks.
That's why I said anyone but you.
I don't know. I find that the disappointment in life comes from unmet expectations. So, have no expectations and you can't be disappointed.
But there's also the idea of speaking in, what you want to be, like speaking it into.
And that doesn't work.
No, you are not even. Oh, there's your forehead. Yeah, you put it lower.
Sweet.
This is so awkward.
So awkward?
Every time we do this, every week it's awkward. Last week we're all like.
I know. Then we got rid of the tables, so there's not 500 tables everywhere now.
What book is this week?
Dreamworld.
Welcome in, everyone. Welcome. How's everyone doing? How are you doing, everyone? Oh man, I sell the Dreamworld. We'll look for.
Sold the dream.
Sold the dream. This week on Book Talk Tuesday is Book 5. This week on Book Talk Tuesday. Go live. That's weird. How come there's like no background whatsoever in that shot? I guess we could put it over here.
Yeah.
How's everyone doing today? What are you up to? What are you watching? Oh yeah, like that.
You lower it.
Well, I'm going to. I was just going to position it first.
See what I mean by awkward? It's like in the front, and then I'm like back here.
What's up, Amanda? Welcome in. Welcome in, Amanda. Oh, that's really like.
Can you?
I can. Yeah, I can do it. I can do it. All right.
Okay.
What does that say on the wall?
Oh, that?
It says something.
With God, all things are possible.
I mean, that's true. That's a true statement. With God, all things are. Hey, Patrick! What is up, dude?
Oh, hey, Patrick.
How are you doing? Amanda, how's your afternoon into the evening, depending on your time zone? All right. Dreamworld. We're going to see if we can find a copy of Dreamworld. Didn't we find them downstairs? Oliver! Welcome in, Oliver.
Right there.
I don't think so. This week, we're going to be talking about Book 5, everybody. Which reminds me, now that I said that out loud. Hey, Super Dimension Jack. What is up, Super Dimension? Busy with photo? Good. I hope busy means making money. That's, usually at Colorworld, that's what it means. Busy means making money. Oliver, how's your afternoon into the evening? How goes? All right, inventory. And then the secret to this is we type in world. And then everything with world we can add in.
Yeah, because book wouldn't work.
No, that'll pull up every bookmark, which is a lot.
Yeah, I used to be able to search for like things that I needed for Colorworld by searching Colorworld, but now.
Nope.
So many things that say Colorworld.
So many things. Colorworld has grown so much in the last 8 years. It's been an insane ride.
8 years.
Isn't that crazy? Is it crazy to think we've been married for 20 years?
No, I feel like we've always been married.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, I barely remember that time before. know what's going on there.
The world before me. It was long ago in a faraway place. And there we go. All the books just hit the. Hey, Jessica, welcome in, Jessica. And then let me put Dreamworld up. There it is.
It does give us like street cred though.
Oh,
We've
been married for 20
years.
20
You know what
years.
we're talking about.
You young whippersnappers with your 5 years of being married. Hanging in there. Good. Glad you're hanging in there. Super dimension. Man. Jessica, Oliver, Amanda, or is everyone watching at work? You can just give me a wink or a lightning bolt if you're just listening in at work, and then we won't expect you to talk in chat. I almost said chat and talk. It's been a long day. We got in at like 2 something on Monday. Today's Tuesday, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Anytime you like wake up one day and then go to sleep the next day.
Or the same day. You go to sleep and wake up in the same day. Like you go to bed.
No,
at
you're
3.
supposed to.
He's streaming.
You're supposed to wake up one day and go to sleep the same day. I woke up and then went to sleep the next day. Get it?
Right.
Yeah. You're supposed to sleep in the same day you wake up in. Is it because you agree or because you're at work? I forgot.
Oh gosh.
What? I swear my mom has a radar for streaming. She's like, ooh, they're live. Let me go talk to the internet. There you are, Mom. You're on. You're covered up by the bubbles. Go the other way. There you go. Hey, there you go.
Just information. Duke plays Wake Forest tonight at 6 o'clock.
Excellent. All right, we'll try to be quick on Book Talk Tuesday.
No,
I know that my bro
Bro
day.
date.
It's a lot of stuff happening today. I'm gonna watch the Super Bowl with my friend. No one tell me what happened.
Oh, you don't
No one tell me what happened. Oh my gosh, why does the first person I say that to start to tell me what
That's
happened?
people do. It's
I
like,
know.
don't touch that button.
Click. People just can't listen.
Oh my god.
All right, hang it. Okay.
On the bottom of these pages.
What's up?
Bookmarks.
What do you want at the bottom of these pages?
Oh.
Bookmarks, Autumn. Bookmarks.
She means what bookmark, Rachel? You
I know that.
snooper knobber. All
I'm
right.
telling her to be a big girl and figure it out.
Well, no, you have to actually figure out what to do. You can't just randomly slap stuff on there. That's how we end up with $42.
You're almost all gone.
I know, but boy, did we have
No,
some
I mean,
knowledge
not to Enigma. You could just do that for days. It'll
for
always
days. We did do that one time. Oh man. So yeah, in Fairy Tale, I need Urza, Ewan, and Angel.
See?
Fairy Tale's been on fire. And then Rachel's correct. There are 0 Natsu Enigmas in this drawer. 0.
Cool.
There you go. Do it.
Man, it's like I know things because I own the company.
It's like.
It's like.
It's like that.
Is this color correct on the printer?
Always looks wrong to me.
I don't know.
I feel like something's up with the color.
Do you want me to pause everything?
The ones after toga hands, yes.
Cucumber mint. Interesting. Let me try it.
Oh, that's caffeine.
Doesn't taste like caffeine. It's very watered down if it is.
Is it? Did you shake it? Did you want?
No, but I also don't see anything on the bottom.
Did you want to try some cucumber mint?
I did. Looks fascinating.
Oh, it's pretty good. I like it.
Well, we also need a book, so I'm assuming we have to go down.
Yeah. Let me go.
All right. What should we talk about while Brad goes to get books? Okay, so there's this thing called Wattpad. Has anybody read anything on Wattpad? Write anything on Wattpad? Familiar with Wattpad? Or have no idea what Wattpad is? I'll tell you. It's like, let's see, what's it like? Sort of like Webtoons. So, Webtoons, you publish your comic there. I don't know what, like, the guidelines are for publishing on Webtoons. It's like anybody can just throw stuff on there. But Wattpad, basically anybody can throw something on Wattpad. It's a way for you to, like, share your writing and then have other people interact with it. So you can write, like, portions at a time. So you can write, like, a chapter, and then you can do another chapter. Sort of like Webtoons, where you're like, oh, you published another issue, and then you published another issue, and then it stays and it lives online. So Wattpad lives online. It's unedited stuff. So, you get what you get and don't throw a fit. And It's basically where you can continue to live in the universes that you love. So, for example, if you're a Harry Potter fan, you can go and find fan fiction stories that fans have written, fan fiction, about Harry Potter characters. And it runs the gamut. So anywhere from like, the backstory of Peter Pettigrew and the love of his life to Draco Malfoy gets together with Hermione, like what fans would have liked to have seen from the series. So I find Wattpad to be this very interesting platform. My daughter, she claims that she doesn't like to read, but she'll get on these Wattpad kicks and she'll just read like endlessly on Wattpad. And she just loves it. And I've read some of the stories and I'm like, ooh, this is so hard to get through.
Yeah,
but some of them are actually really good, grammatically and, plot wise. So it's actually a really cool forum. So if you're someone who is maybe coming on here because you're like, I want to be a writer, or I'm thinking about writing, or I would like to write something, like Wattpad is a really great resource to be able to have. It's kind of like a virtual writing group, to be honest, because people can comment on your stuff and you're not necessarily there for critique, but people can critique you, or they can tell you like, oh, I really love where this is going. Write more. And people don't have the expectation that they do with published books where they're like, this has to be super awesome and amazing and edited. And if I even see like one typo, then I'm throwing this book in the trash. People are really, I've noticed, because my daughter has written some stuff on there, that people are actually really forgiving. They're more interested in like these new stories, like stories from universes they already know. They just want to continue in it so bad that they go to Wattpad to find more from that universe. I think it'll be really cool the day when someone starts writing Colorworld universe stuff on Wattpad.
You see Luigi?
What's up, Luigi?
Luigi, good to see you, my dude.
And Fiore.
Oh, Fiore's here too?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Right?
It is tasty.
See?
Yeah, so Wattpad, check it out. If you read Colorworld, go write some Colorworld fan fiction. That would be really flattering. I think that would be
flattering.
Yeah.
My ego needs a boost. Boost! All right.
So yeah, there's an app, I'm pretty sure. There's a Wattpad app.
Oh, for sure.
Go on there and do you write the thing?
Veronica, what is up? Do you still want people to call you Boo Talk if we know that you're formerly Boo Talk Law? I never know what to do with that, Veronica. Abigail, welcome in. Frederick, welcome in.
What's that look for?
Well, because I heard that sound down there, and I was like, "Is that a printer paper jam?" But then it sounded like somebody's down there.
Yeah, sounds like somebody talking.
No, over there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Luigi, how are you? How is life? Are you Australia, Luigi? I feel like you're.
3 days ago, funny Hannah.
Yes, he does.
It's cute. I like it.
Yeah, she does. Did you already address the Brina Palencia haircut look?
Are you talking to somebody on the phone?
No, look. Bradster, Rachel got that Brina. Rachel has that Brina Palencia haircut.
Actually, it's more like Morgan Berry.
Both, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I'm torn about it though because it's getting a little long on the sides, and I had actually was supposed to get a hair appointment, and I canceled it because I was like, it's so cold. I don't want you to cut my hair off. She's like, I get it. So I rescheduled it for later, but I'm just so torn about having long hair. I feel like I outgrew that phase of my life where I could have long hair and be like happy about it. And so now I'm in this place where I don't like it, but then I don't want to go back to what I had because I've already had that for a lot of years. So I'm like, what else can I do with my hair? Maybe I just need to dye it magenta or something. I don't know.
One side long, one side short. There you go.
Kira, Michelle, welcome in, everybody. Welcome.
Just shave it off again. Just shave it.
Mohawk.
Skinhead.
Mohawk.
No,
Give me that mohawk back. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the return of the
I'm tired
mohawk.
of the mohawk. I'm just tired of it.
Well, it's been many years since you had a mohawk.
Yeah. What else do people do with their hair? I mean, I've even had extensions. I've had microblading. That's what I would really. You know what? I had my druthers, I'd go back to micro braid
Braids.
extension because that is my favorite haircut. There's like basically no maintenance, and you get to have long hair, and it looks cool, and
Yeah.
it's different.
Yeah.
It's so different. Like a white girl with braids, it's just nobody sees that.
It was funny. There was a couple at Anime Milwaukee that had cornrows, and I was like, guys, let me tell you, I just finally watched the Colin Kaepernick episode about the cornrows, and I had no idea. And I was a Allen Iverson fan, and I had my hair Yeah, we had like a whole conversation. I had no idea how controversial cornrows were.
Yeah.
And then it makes total sense why my store manager was like,
You support diversity.
what is that guy doing?
I just need a black friend here.
You need a black friend.
There's no black people in Iowa.
Allison, come back.
I mean, there are, but I've seen them from a distance. I need to just.
There was a dude at the physical therapy I took.
Because black people always know where to get your hair braided at.
Well, sure.
You know, but I don't.
Sure.
I don't know.
We'll go to Iowa City and just sit and then, casually find a way to not be creepy and walk up to a black woman and ask her where she got her hair braided. Where'd you get your hair done, dude? Yeah, don't do it, Fiore. I was so happy when Rachel finally told me to cut my hair. I'm like, oh, thank heavens. I wore my hair up for like 7 years. I didn't do anything with it. I literally woke up, put it in the ponytail or the man bun, went to sleep, took my man bun out.
Easy though.
Woke up, put it back in, went to bed, took it out. Sometimes I forgot and slept with it in. It's just, I didn't do anything. 7 years. So happy to finally do something. Trash Panda, welcome in. All right.
We should probably start talking about the book now.
We should start talking about the books. And I will load in some.
I thought you already did that.
I wish there was a way to load in like popular bookmarks without could we sort by like sales? So that way people that want to shop for bookmarks can grab.
I really like this.
Right? I'm telling you. So the reason
7-Eleven Select.
The reason I switched to the 7-Eleven refreshers is I went to the gas station, and you know me, I won't buy it unless it's a deal. I can't stand paying too much money for anything. I'm so cheap I will starve than pay too much.
Okay, so it does have sugar, but it also has stevia in it.
Well, those were so affordable that I selected them as my beverage over the Gatorade that was available. And then
I do not like Gatorade.
Well, I was really surprised at how absolutely delicious those refreshers, those 7-Eleven brand refreshers are.
Replenish.
Oh, sorry, Replenish.
See?
All
I'm
right.
sure it says refreshing on there somewhere.
Refreshing. That reminds me of Eminem, which I heard totally crushed it at the Super Bowl. Oh man, do you know when I called and asked if he wanted me to come over, he's like, we could watch the fall of Western civilization on the halftime show, and then all of a sudden he's like, wait, do you like hip hop? I said, yeah, absolutely, I love hip hop. He goes,
I don't like Eminem.
He's like, never mind. Well, it was just he instantly.
Well, that's Brother Mogan.
He instantly was like,
he's
oh.
like, and my kids are Democrats. Oh.
Wow.
Like
some serious. He needs to work through some issues.
He's super offensive sometimes.
He needs to work through some issues. Why is he so full of rage?
Yeah, he's like, my kids grew up to be Democrats.
Why is he so full of rage? He should just get over it. Not be so full of rage.
Oh man.
All right. We're about to. All right, there we go. There are 35 new bookmarks. Just hit the catalog. And then let me see what's on page 2. And then we'll get started. Can I just select all? I thought there was. Well, I thought there was a bulk action.
You don't want to have that many on there.
I don't. This is. I thought there was a way. Oh, is it right here? Nope. Oh, that just toggles back and forth. All right. Well.
There's a new book in there.
Yeah.
Oh, I do need to list the new book. It's now available.
Available as of yesterday.
Why did this go back to page?
Check and see.
My arm's gonna fall off. Oh. I was excited. I wonder how many people got. I tried to. So everybody that pre-ordered the new book, I tried to get it to them on Monday so that they could have it on the day of release. But I haven't had a chance to follow up to see if like anyone posted somewhere that they got it on the release date. Let's see. Let me get these added in. Can we see some of those bookmarks up close? Yeah. Let me know, Oliver, which. Rachel, while I add this, can you? Oh, why did I not put that down? Can you show Oliver? Oh my gosh. All right, I fixed the tripod, Oliver. Can you go ahead and show off? In fact, you can flip the camera around and then show up close.
Let's start. Let's see. Start in my.
So, Oliver, if there's something in particular you want to see up close, let Rachel know and she will.
Comment out here. Spider-Man. Yep, I can do here. Spider-Man. Spider-Verse. Here we go. Spider-Verse. So we got $20.99.
Man, people have been
Deadpool,
buying so much
Spider-Man.
$20.99 lately.
Miles Morales, always a winner. Venom, Classic Spider-Man, Carnage, and Spider-Gwen. So that's what we got in the Spider-Man section. All right, I'll just keep panning the superheroes here. If there's anything you want me to pull out, so you can really look at it up close. They are not holographic. They just are mirrors because. Here, come on. I'm gonna demonstrate. See if I can start it. They're printed on metal, Oliver. So it's just super reflective. See, there's the back side. You can see it's metal. So we print on a mirror finish aluminum. So you can actually like see yourself. So you can see the phone reflection there. They're super reflective.
I did a print
That is what you're seeing. That looks holographic.
That looks right.
But I get it.
Okay.
Looks like sometimes people think it's glass. They're like, "Oh, am I seeing through it to the other side?" Nope, it's super shiny metal. But they are all printed on metal. So there we go.
Is this entire box over here stuff that needs to be pressed?
Yes, I'm pretty sure I just put all the stuff that needed to be.
I'm trying to find my favorite one. My favorite one. There's like a favorite picture. Favorite of it.
What's up, Nick? Welcome in. Welcome in.
Where's Raven? Why is there no Raven?
There should be Raven and Starfire right there. There's a Maid Cafe and there's the original.
Here's my favorite. Best art. Love it. Just gonna go on top because
Yeah, it's because that shelf fell off and then no one put it back. So we're missing a whole shelf.
That is a busty Starfire right there.
No, like there's no
She is the bustier of the two. The original watercolors under the Maid Cafe.
Yeah. It's kind of a nope, it's not.
Oh, we're out
I will
there.
keep you supplied with things.
But he
Oh,
didn't ask for it, I
that's
just
right
was
now.
looking for it. Alright. Assassin's Creed. Alright, Oliver, we'll see you when you come back then. Anybody else need to see particular?
No, we are. We're literally out of Starfire. So if you do any other random smalls, bottom.
It's all coming.
Okay. We need. All right, we're ready to dive in. Dive in. Oh, try to not. All right, fantastic. All right. Diane, welcome in. Oh, let me get the Dreamworld book up to the top. Three-book bundle. And, oh my gosh, where is Dreamworld?
Do we have the
new
bundle? The
9-book?
yeah. Is someone gonna put that on or?
Whoa, I have not put the 9-book bundle. What's up, bud?
Hey, buddy.
Oh, my arm.
Was he asleep at all?
I think for a little, then he was just crying.
Thank you for follow. All right, so Dreamworld is book 5 in the series. Rachel,
Yes.
when many of us started book 5, we thought, Danielle, thank you so much for the follow. When we started book 5, literally thought you made a huge mistake and you'd accidentally put Colorworld in the front of this book and then printed it. So when you were deciding how this was going to start, where did you come up with the idea?
Okay, so
how much of it did you use?
When I started writing it, I wrote the scene where she's in the woods and there's lightning around, and in fact, is that where it starts?
All right.
Now I'm like, wait a minute.
Wait.
No, actually, I don't think it starts there. Pretty sure it starts with Ezra. Yeah. So originally it started with what is now halfway through the book almost, I feel like. Where she's in the woods, and that's where she loses her memory, is in this lightning storm in the woods. So that originally started there. But then I wanted people to get the feel for a timeline that didn't feel like you just got dropped in the middle of something. Because in Wendy's mind, that's where the timeline is, right? Forget everything that happened. And her last memory is way back from book 1. And so if I had started writing it right where she lost her memory, then we would need to be reminded where she was mentally, because I knew that she was kind of doing a reset of, all of these, this wisdom that she's gained has all been lost, and she's back where she started in Colorworld. So I wrote those 2 chapters in there primarily to establish her as a character, so that when I began to write her sort of regress, people weren't thrown off by that, and they really kind of saw her natural progression again, through the book. So that's why I put that in there. But I did giggle even before I published it.
Oh, really?
When I came up with the idea, I was like, "Oh, people are going to be so confused. It's going to be so fun."
Now, was this part of when we talked about book 5? I remember thinking, oh man, we're so far into the series, and this was supposed to be where people could read a book a year, like the Harry Potter, and they would, as the series got older, they would get older. How much of what you did with book 5 is a result of giving people a new audience a place to jump into the book?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I think it's 4 chapters. The first 4 chapters that are basically Colorworld is also to establish some background information so that you can not be lost when you start. Otherwise, the whole Wendy going to an allergy study, coming out, touching people, dying, you're wait, all that happened and I had no idea. If you're just coming into the series, you're I kind of feel like I need some
background.
I need the origin story or something, So I tried to give the origin story in 4 chapters, the beginning of the book.
Was it hard to know what to narrow down from 4 previous books?
Not really. There were things that I cut out of there because I just really wanted to accelerate, that part of the story. And I changed some of the wording in hopes that people would be a little less confused. Oh, wait, this sounds like it, but it's a little bit different. That didn't seem to work out. Since people still every single person is
you put Colorworld in here by accident.
Are you sure this is right?
Oh, I fell for it big time. Sam did too. I
probably
remember.
Should put a disclaimer front. Don't worry, this is correct.
Don't worry, this is a new book.
It should start with headed correctly edited.
Correctly edited. Did the editors catch it? What was Kristen's?
Well, no, that was my editors. It was with them too. I think it might have been Kristen who just kept reading and then came back and said yeah, I was reading this and I thought for a minute, but then I was Rachel wouldn't do that. And then, she was fine. But Sam, I feel
she contacted you.
Sam was something's wrong.
Something is amiss. What's up, Michelle? I definitely said something.
I know you did. You were like convinced. You're like, no.
No, I'm telling you, you accidentally put Colorworld in the beginning of this book. Yeah, it was pretty. You got me good for sure. Did you? How did this thing get so monstrous?
Oh man. It was just so much story to tell. It was so interesting. Like I didn't get bored ever. I was never like you know, like I really feel like we wrapped the script. And it's like, no, I have this other thing I
But
have to
more.
say. You know, it had to be like, right, Wendy before the memory loss, then the memory loss, and then Wendy, the sort of missing chunk of time of how did she lose her memory? What events led up to that? So I knew that had to have those three parts.
Okay.
It
isn't it put into parts? I feel like
it is.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. There's part 1, part 2, part 3.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
Just except part 1 just isn't labeled.
Yeah.
Okay. And then all of a sudden you just get to part 2 and you're like, oh, it's the second part. Brandon, what is up, Brandon? We're doing well. How are you doing, man? We're Brandon. We're talking Dreamworld, which is the 5th book in the Colorworld series. Rachel's new book, the 9th book in the series, just came out yesterday, and so we're kind of diving in and looking at each book and catching people up. Now, it was interesting. We offered Aaron, who owns the marketing firm that we work with full time. We were like, "Hey, do you want to go Star Wars or Lord of the Rings?" And he was like, "What?" I said, "We designed this where you could literally jump in at book 5 and be just fine." Like Rachel did such a spectacular job, A, convincing all of us that it was book 1, and then B, kind of telling the story and fast forward. And he was like, "Yeah, give me that. I'm into that." And the other day he was like, "I didn't get my copy of Soraya." And I was like, "But you haven't read Xavier and Ezra, Charlotte, and Xavier." He's like, So he is excited to read all of it, which I thought was a really good. It's one thing for someone to be like, "Yeah, I'll take your money to go try to convince people on the internet to buy your stuff," but it's another for him to be excited to work on the project. Has he given you any feedback? Did you and him ever have a conversation?
No.
I really want to pick his brain in terms of like.
I know there was a brief conversation in which he's like, "Yeah, it works," because he's really the first person who has jumped in at book 5, and at least for him, it appears to have worked.
Yeah,
you know that he wasn't so lost.
Yeah, he never ever expressed that he felt like he missed out.
Yeah.
And the whole reason that we did it that way is so that people didn't feel like, you know, when you're like, "Oh, I'm watching One Piece," and someone's like, "Oh, it's so many episodes, I can't start." Dreamworld is a way to really just kind of jump in and not worry about like how many books are out and not feel like you have to read the entire story. And then what's funny is right after this monstrosity, and I was waiting for you to tell people the story about the page limits.
Oh yeah, 828 pages is the limit of how many pages you can have in a book that you're doing print on demand for Amazon. So I had to really, I was over the page count. I had to find like ways to decrease the number of pages. So whether it was, you know, making the space between lines a little bit smaller, squinching words up a little bit to like make chapters 1 page less, you know, but over 828 pages, it adds up. If you're going to like decrease the space between lines over 828 pages, like that's a huge amount.
Yeah.
Even if you only do it by like
half a line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say you're going to add 1 more line onto each page. It makes a difference over the long term.
Yeah, over that many. Well, it's just like when you look at speed, like we have a rule at Colorworld that if you're driving one of the vans, you need to go 6 miles over the speed limit, because you do the math, and if you're driving 1,000 miles and you instead of going 75, you go 81, or instead of 65, you go 71. That over 1,000 miles, you will arrive several hours earlier than normal. Like you will literally add hours to your life that you can do things with that you wouldn't if you. So it's kind of like that same concept. Over big numbers, small differences make a huge amount of difference.
Yeah.
Sort of online collectors. Oh, I did. In fact, didn't Bryce do the audiobook for that, Brandon? I feel like Bryce and Jeremy did the audiobook for the new Sort of Online book. I'm pretty sure that was Bryce's first audiobook. It wasn't Jeremy's first audiobook because Colorworld was Jeremy's first audiobook, which is super cool. Like reading, Harry Potter books are gigantic as well. Creatures of Decay, welcome in. All right, so you enjoyed the trick you were going to pull on everybody and got a good laugh out of convincing everybody that you had messed up really bad and put Colorworld in the beginning. What was Wendy's memory loss? Is that just like a really clever literary plot? Like, how did any part of you be like, oh no, the whole memory loss thing's been done before?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I way with every book. It's like, oh, this thing has already been written in some book somewhere. It's kind of it's a trope.
It is.
But it just was what was supposed to happen. And over the years, I've become like more okay with using these common tropes. If you've ever seen the show Jane the Virgin, so it's like a telenovela. Which is, of course, very campy and super cringe, like over-the-top romance and all, someone dies, but they don't really die and they come back to life. And, oh, they have a twin, right? They have a twin out there somewhere. Or, like, or they've been disguised all this time and that's really your brother. Like, stuff like that was written into the show, Jane the Virgin. So it's supposed to, use all of these tropes from telenovelas, but it does it in such a way that sort of makes fun of itself.
Yeah,
it's
so good.
And it's so good.
Yeah,
and you don't even care that you're like, it's so ridiculous that this person has a twin out there.
You can see it coming from a mile away.
Yeah, but it's so good. That's why I don't mind spoilers. It's like, I don't mind knowing that it's going to happen, but how it happens is what's so fun and exciting. So yeah, for me, it's just I've become more okay with, playing with common tropes because they're just so fun. I mean, there's a reason they're a trope. It's because people love them. And so the memory loss thing, it was just I just wrote it. I remember writing the first chapter when she loses her memory.
Yeah.
I'm like,
oh,
she lost her memory.
So been there.
So done.
So done. Everyone loses their memory.
Yeah, but everybody's experience when they lose their memory is different, and so
oh man,
how's it going to play out?
I always remember All My Children.
Yeah, amnesia.
Yeah,
gotta have that amnesia.
You gotta have amnesia. It's so. Luis, what's up, Luis? I grew up watching All My Children with my mom, and it was Adam Chandler lost his memory, or Tad lost his memory, and then Adam turned out to be. Yeah, Todd's brother. Todd was the twin. Yeah, so good. I love it, man. All My Children is best soap opera ever. I never watched another one, so I actually can't really comment on whether it's better than.
They're all the same, just different characters.
What? I just remember such a rooting for Susan Lucci to win an Oscar.
All My Children?
I don't know that All My Children is still on.
What?
I think they ended it.
No.
All right. Somebody in chat, help us out, but I'm pretty sure All My Children ended. Watching Married with Children, that's very different than All My Children. Married with Children is a very different show than All My Children.
Yeah, that's a sitcom, which is
sitcom that a lot of kids weren't allowed to watch.
I was not allowed to watch it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And in 2020, All My Children, Cheryl Strauss told Entertainment Weekly she preferred the AMC writer's original closed-ended conclusion to the show's ABC run. They wrote this beautiful ending for everyone, the actor said.
Okay.
So it was ended, and then somebody bought the franchise and then started it again?
No, it seems like it ended in 2020.
Okay. Yo, Frederick, thanks for grabbing that signed copy of Colorworld. If you want that personalized, Frederick, you have the email address I'm almost positive. Let me know, and if you want it personalized, or if you're giving it as a gift to somebody and you want Rachel to personalize it to somebody else, just let us know. I'll put the email in there for moderator at colorworldbooks.com.
You're such a mouth breather.
All right, if you want personalization instructions, go ahead and drop a line to the moderator at colorworldbooks.com email address, and then we can get that. Yeah, absolutely. Let us know. All right. So you can jump in here. It was you. So you didn't set out to, like, when did you? You started one way. So you said you started with the scene with the lightning.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's the first chapter that I
right.
wrote for the book, but then I went back and added everything.
Because did you know that the result of the lightning storm was memory loss?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did. And then it was, how was I going to order things? So either I was going to have losing the memory, it was going to be Wendy, waking up from this memory loss, or it was going to be the events leading up to the memory loss. Like, which one was going to come first? So did we want to, like, have her lose her memory and be like, wait a minute, I missed something. How did this happen the whole time that you're, or did we want to have it, here's what happened before the memory loss, and then she loses her memory, and here's what happened after. And so, I just felt like it was just cooler to have that anticipation of wondering how she even ended up here. So you're going through all of these things in her, during her memory loss, and not knowing how she ended up that way.
I do like that the thing that I feel like you did differently about the memory loss was that we never got Wendy being like, oh, I wish I could remember. Like, that part of the person being aware that they're missing something was not part. She just, like, woke up and, like, went about her life.
Yeah, I mean, she had a hot minute there. She was like, she's kind of angsty over it. But she makes a decision pretty quickly to move on from that, for sure.
Yeah.
So.
And I appreciated that because I think that's what made it not feel forced to me. What made it feel not like what you had seen with other people with the memory loss trope. It was nice to Wendy just didn't know things. and then it was a very different story with her missing some things that I'm trying to remember. Did you, as you were writing, did you ever, like, root for Wendy, like, to get her memory back? Like, how did you go through?
Well, I knew she was going to get it back eventually. So there was never, like, rooting for her to get it back. It was just like, how is she going to get it back? When is she going to get it back? What's going to happen before she does?
Was that a hard decision? Like, were you ever like, oh, is this the time? Is this it?
No, I kind of, like, enjoyed putting it off as long as possible.
Really?
Yeah. Just the anticipation of thinking, like, oh, there's Gabe. She's going to know who he is.
Nope.
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 She has no idea.
No clue.
Suddenly it's going to come back to her and love will prevail. Nope.
Nope.
Yeah.
No idea.
Let's see if you'll wait before.
Oh, man. I also feel like Gabe never acted like...
Well, yeah, because Gabe lost his memory too.
Oh, that's fancy.
Yeah. In fact, thousands of people lost their memory.
You know what's funny is, so you haven't watched Jobless Reincarnation, right?
Yeah.
So there's a mana event, like a world level mana event that transports everybody within the bandwidth of this event, like scatters them basically across the known universe. And then everybody wakes up in drastically different situations and has to figure out, like, their town doesn't exist anymore where they lived. There's no memory loss. In fact, there specifically isn't a memory loss. But it sounds a lot like that.
Yeah, well, it's selected. They only lose certain memories. So it's not like Wendy, it was complete, amnesia. Same thing for Gabe. But for other people, it was partial. For most people, it was partial. Certain events, some people didn't even realize they had lost memory.
That sounds like someone's power.
Does it?
It does. It sounds like a power rather than
Yep.
Yeah.
like an event. Oh, he wasn't into that. All right, let me see if I can. Yep, I got you. Yep, I got it. You're not into that. He's like, nope. You guys think you're just gonna slap me down on the floor? That's not working for me. That's not working for me. Ha! You're not on the floor anymore. All right. You really get the guild big time in book 5. Were you excited to finally tell that story? How did that unfold? How did you decide? We talked last week about the guild, and you said that your goal with them was to like think of kind of the next most logical evolution of kind of basic everyday technologies, and then that's how they were gonna essentially prove to Wendy that they should be trusted. Like they are who they say they are. They are as smart as they like. That they could logically solve Wendy's problem. What was the decision like in terms of how much more you were going to tell us and show us about the guild?
Well, it became, she becomes someone of status in the guild. So really, I had to determine all the ins and outs. The history, the workings. And in the process of that, that's how I, found, hey, these are good people trying to do a good thing. Because Wendy has to also be convinced that, this is somebody she wants to join. She wants a new family. She wants to be part of something. So I definitely had to plan a lot. I had to know a lot about historically how they had come to be. So that definitely there was no holding back on the guild.
So there was no way to like kind of half-ass the guild. Like it was the who, when, where, what of the guild was so important to Wendy's decision making that you just had to go all the way into that rabbit hole.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing you don't really know is the small events leading up to the guild being born. Like, kind of the history. They have sort of a diluted history class that Wendy goes to in which she finds out where they came from. And that was my way of kind of teaching people about the guild as well, is through Wendy's, classes that she went to learn about this organization that she's joined. And I had to decide, at that point, are these good guys, or are these bad guys? So that had to happen pretty quickly. And I really liked, it would have been really easy for the guild to be the bad guy, and somehow Gabe has to rescue her from like the bad guys. But I find it to be more intriguing to have a villain that has both positive and negative about them and not really be sure. Because I feel like most organizations that we come in contact with are not all good and not all bad. Ideally, we'd love for them to be all good, but the reality is that most of the time, you don't find that.
So you said you wanted a bad guy. So you set the guild up to be the bad guy in Dreamworld?
Initially, yeah. But like I said, I didn't even know that they weren't the guild until I wrote Dreamworld. Like, I didn't even know that they weren't the real guild. They were this splinter group that wasn't the guild until I had written Dreamworld. So
you're talking about now Andre in book 4 in Shadow World.
Yeah. So Andre is part of this other group, and he's used to be a member of the guild and kind of left because he had these conflated ideals that he felt the guild should live up to or should do, but didn't. He was very trying to think of the word. Think Voldemort about it.
He's a Death Eater.
Initially he's super pro prime human. He thinks that they're the next evolution of mankind and they're better than humanity. And then something happens and he drastically changes that view and then takes the opposite approach of now he's the guy who's going to take out all the prime humans, which I think is something that happens commonly, when you're talking about villains. Is a villain that came from a certain background, and then their ideals are betrayed, and then they turn against the organization that brought them up, and tries to destroy them. So yeah, that's what happened. However, it's a little bit more complicated than that, because you got Andre, who split off from the guild, but then you also have the amalgam, which you learn more about in Ezra's book. And that's really who this splinter group is. That's who is the one who was trying to get their hands on Wendy for all of the books leading up to Dreamworld.
So you're saying Andre is the leader of the amalgam?
Nope. No. But Andre was working with I don't know how detailed do I spell out the organizational structure?
Oh man, I wish we had like a chalkboard right now. You like dry erase board.
Okay. So yeah, I'm trying to think of which book it's in.
Well, Horatio is book 6.
Right, it's Ezra's book. But then I'm trying to think because Shia plays into this.
Yeah.
Shia plays into this. And so she is kind of the orchestrator, really behind both organizations. So she's kind of the mastermind that nobody's aware of for a long time. And we've only really gotten hints that, she's got her hands in all of the pots, in the same way that Robert did. So
do they know each other?
I don't know that yet, do we?
Oh, really?
It's not revealed in any.
Oh, it's not revealed yet.
We know that she knows of him. We don't know how well she knows him.
Do we know if she knows if he knew of Moshiah?
Do we know if she knows that he?
Do we know if Robert is aware of Moshiah Lim?
Oh, well, it's Robert. Of course he knows.
Oh.
I pretty much assume that he does, but I don't think it's ever mentioned. It's ever mentioned so far in the books.
So we don't know.
There's a chapter that I wrote that I had considered putting in Dreamworld.
Oh,
An
really?
Interaction between Robert and Shia that never made it into the book, but maybe used in a later book.
Interesting.
Kind of flashback scene. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So we don't know, because we almost knew, and then you axed it out of the book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Are there? Are Wendy and Gabe the only ones in the dark? I feel like at this point, Kaylin knows more than Wendy and Gabe.
Yes. But as you find out in Dreamworld, they don't really realize that Kaylin knows that something's going on. So Kaylin is totally aware that it appears from what she sees on TV that Wendy and Gabe don't know anything, that they've lost their memory. She comes to that conclusion.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then she tries to go find them, right? Because she's got Robbie. But she's kind of torn about it, because she's always, ever since she was with them, they vilified the guild because they thought they were bad guys. And so she's like, why do I want to take this child into this organization?
She must have been really weirded out with Wendy.
So that's why she ends up trying to take him to Gabe. So
it's a logical choice. I like it.
Yeah, but then it so happens that when she gets there, Wendy's with him. That's when they've actually just gotten together and realized that they have some history that they don't know about. So yeah, kind of like everything comes to a head when Kaylin shows up, and they get their memories back, and then everybody realizes what's what, and that's the end of the book.
Oh, and there's the end. Yeah. And then we really don't get anything more of that until Wendy's book 6, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's some from Ezra, because in Ezra's book you get a glimpse of him connecting with Kaylin before Kaylin leaves with Robbie, and how that all went down, right? And you realize how Kaylin ended up not having her memory wiped in Ezra's book. So.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
All right. Do you? I bet it seems like. Did you feel the weight of the world open up when you got to Dreamworld? Like there's just so many personalities, even on just the guild's leadership.
Yeah, and I didn't actually reveal. I revealed the names of the council.
The council.
But I don't really get too much into their individual personalities. I mean, I definitely tried not to talk too much about someone who didn't super matter to the book. You know, Dreamworld is mostly, you know, when she has lost her memory, it's mostly Mike, Shia, Wendy are the three kind of main players. And then, of course, Gabe, you know, they encounter him, but he's not sort of part of the group. And so those are the ones who are like kind of the inner circle. But then, of course, before she loses her memory, when we read that part, it's Wendy, Gabe, Ezra, and then all of Robert's guys, because Robert has just died, remember, from book 4. And then Gabe's parents are there. Like, so you get, and then a couple other characters are added in. Really fun thing that I got to do in Dreamworld was write up all of the books. Like at certain points, I've gotten to write real people into them. But Dreamworld has 2 characters.
Oh yes.
Who were based on real people. So one of them is Erin Maisie, who has passed away since, but she's featured in the book. And the cool thing about her is, so she got in a car accident when she was 18 and was in a persistent vegetative state until she died, probably about 5 years ago, I think. And so her mom wanted me to write her as she was before the accident, which was really hard to do because I didn't know her then. So I got lots of stories from her mom, and the story in there about the beauty pageant is actually a true story about Erin, and also that her parents were dentists in the books, which they are in real life, which is really cool. So that was really, really neat for me to be able to do that for her family, to, you know, bring her alive in a story. So hard though, because again, I didn't want to misrepresent her because, you know, I know Erin in a vegetative state. I don't know Erin, you know, be able to talk and walk and look at you and listen to you, and all of that. Like I didn't know that Erin, so I had to really hone in on what her, you know, her family told me about her. The other one was Megan, and her character in the book is not named Megan. She's named starts with an R. Oh man.
Oh yes.
Ro.
I think.
Her name's Ro. It's short for Rowena. I was trying to remember her full name. So she goes by Ro. Her name's Rowena. And that's Megan Krunigal, who is someone we met when we lived in the RV, and she's just very extravagant. Like
she's like a Lady Gaga.
Yeah, like a real life lady with like a stay-at-home mom Lady Gaga.
Yeah, just no meat dress,
like she'll go
but
to the
everything
grocery
else.
store and wear extravagant outfits.
Yes.
So, and I just wanted to put her in the books. So I asked her if I could write her into the book. So she got to pick her name. And, you know, I told her some of the things I was putting in there. So that was really cool because she's just such a great conversation piece. And things were so dire and like serious in Dreamworld in that part of the books that I just needed someone to like talk about and like, you know, have fun with. So Ro is that character of, so there's a scene in there where Ezra walks in and he like Ro is over there like helping make breakfast, and he's like talking to Wendy and Letty's there, and he's like, does anybody see that she has a ship in her hair? And like Wendy and Letty just keep talking about whatever they're talking about. They're just ignoring it. And he's like, guys, she has a ship in her hair. And he's like, guys, she has a ship in her hair. And they're like, what are you talking about? She dresses that way all the time. Yesterday it was like seashells and bird's nests. Like, what's your problem? You know, like she literally had
If
like
a woman wants to
little,
have a ship in her head.
model ship like in her hairdo. So, you know, things like that were just really fun. Also, the real life Megan believes in like going topless in her own house, around her kids, around whoever comes over. And so the row in the books goes around topless and, you know, around all these people. And she's like, whatever, you know. So that was really fun. I really, really, really loved writing her into the book series.
And then Chase.
Oh, right. He's also, I forgot he's in Dreamworld.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a third person who's based on a real person, Chase. So Chase, the real life Chase, which I knew before he got in his car accident at 16 and should have died, but didn't, and came out of it with speech impaired, basically had to learn everything all over again. I wrote him in there. So he's kind of Wendy's partner when she joins the guild. And so I got to write him, but I wrote him as he was after he kind of started recovering from his accident. So trying to get his speech back. And the Chase in the books got hit with a baseball bat by Thea, who is the people who want to kill war crimes. So his family was all killed and he was beat with a baseball bat and they thought he had died, but he didn't. He recovered and, you know, he meets Wendy in the hospital with his, like, you know, recovery. And so, you know, I got to write him as well. And he appears in other books. He made appearances in other books, right? Because he is Wendy's guild partner. So that was 3 people I got to write in Dreamworld.
And it came about because we did a Kickstarter, and you got, if you donated a certain level, pledged a certain level in the Kickstarter, then you got your own character.
Mm-hmm.
And those were...
There's technically another character in Dreamworld, but he really doesn't make a strong appearance until Charlotte. So
Goro.
he's really written into Charlotte. So that's like 4 people total that were written into the series.
But it was a really... So what did you think of... So we obviously made that pledge when we did the Kickstarter. What did you think of it then, and then what did you think of it after it had been accomplished?
Oh, I would love to do it all over again. I mean, I've loved doing that. It's just so much easier to write an authentic character that's based on a real person.
On a person.
Problem is that when you do that, like, you can't just do that without people's permission.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
So you have to write it different enough. But in this case, I got to really, like, include the backstories. Like, Goro in the book series owns a bunch of restaurants. Well, Goro in real life, at least at the time, owned a bunch of restaurants.
Yeah.
He's into real estate now, so he's in everything. But yeah, it was a lot easier. Ideally, I could write all characters based on real people. So, yeah. I would do it again.
What did you like in terms of, you know, obviously these people, you used real people with real life events in a massive world of fiction. What was the experience like writing nonfiction in a fiction world?
Oh, well, I mean, there has to be some fictional aspects, you know, like, so Aaron, the character in the book, who's real person who I wrote character based on, you know, persistent vegetative state. You know, when I interviewed her mom and we were picking, like, what superpower was she going to have? She picked being able to see the dead, being able to see people on the other side, because she feels strongly that her daughter in real life is able to see because of her condition.
And how close she was to death.
And close to you know, she's not able to talk, she's not able to speak, right. And so she's able to.
She could see things without ruining it for us.
Yes, exactly. But her mom always felt like, you know,
she knew more.
Yeah, she was being taken care of by other people, not in this life. So, you know, that part was real. The physical description is as real as I could make it based on the photographs that I was shown. And, you know, I included as many details as I could. But, in the book, she's a member of the guild. The real life Erin isn't a member of the guild. And it wasn't so detailed that I had to like fudge any details. I just had to like put her in the guild, and now she's this, because really the role that she plays in the book is Wendy is supposed to be interviewing different guild members, kind of hosting this TV spot that the guild is going to do to sort of promote themselves and like make them normalize prime humans.
She leads the media
Yes.
outlets.
Yeah. So Erin is one of the guild members who agrees to be interviewed, and so that's kind of how she ends up. And really cool moment is Erin actually sees Robert behind Wendy, except she doesn't know it's Robert. She just describes him for Wendy and says, "This guy's near you," which was a super cool moment, I think, for Wendy to like. And the crazy part is Wendy didn't even know because she doesn't remember Robert.
Because she didn't remember.
So only the reader really knows.
No.
Right? But Shia comes up and she's like, "Hey, I feel like that description fits your uncle." But of course, Wendy doesn't know what her uncle means to her. She doesn't know that she had a relationship with him. So really, we only get to like kind of tear up that Wendy could have had this moment, but didn't. So that was neat. And then Megan is wholly made up. I mean, she's basically a guild plant. Like when they start kind of trying to work on where all these natural disasters coming from, the guild sends in Ro as their like sort of contact to sort of stay up to date on like what they're doing, what they're figuring out. She's working with Ezra. So there aren't any real details to her that are true, except for her personality.
Right.
And then, let's see, do I need to listen? Your shield thing and all.
All right. Give us a moment. Oh, man, I almost fell. And this pause in the action brought to you by breastfeeding. Something every mother. All right.
What do you think? Not screaming.
Bye.
Okay, so
There we go.
let's see.
What's up, Andrew?
Chase.
Welcome in.
Chase obviously totally different situation. The details about his condition were as true as I could make them. I even tried to have him speak in the same way, like with the same sort of handicap. But his family dying and him, going in that was all made up. So it's kept as much as I could, but.
But it was easier in a way that you like, because they were real, that you could like use everything that you needed to from their real life without having to think up so much.
I didn't have to imagine an interesting personality.
Okay.
The big thing is like, how do I make this person stick in someone's mind? Or do I care? Like sometimes there's like the girl at the checkout line that you see for one scene. You don't really have to give her a personality necessarily, but if it's somebody who's going to stick around, you really have to make it so that the reader
can
will remember
distinguish
that
them.
person later. Because if you mention that person's name, they're going to be like, "Wait, who was that again?"
Right.
That's the thing. In movies, doesn't matter because you can see their face.
Yeah.
You remember them. But books, you basically have to paint that picture really quickly.
Interesting. Okay. Do you have plans to keep those folks? Like, how did you decide how big a part to give each of these people?
Well, I wanted to do them justice, and I wanted it to be worth it for the people who made the contribution. So Erin, she gets like a whole chapter. Chase is throughout the book.
He's still relevant.
Megan is for half of the book. I would probably bring her back. I would probably bring her back just so I can put something cool in her hair, give her some crazy makeup or something.
Yeah.
Have people like, "Oh my gosh, it's Ro!" Like that would be. I think it would be cool to bring her back because she is memorable. I think she's a memorable character.
Yeah.
And then Goro, obviously, I really enjoyed writing him too.
Yeah.
He has a potty mouth. The real life Goro does. So apologies. It's his fault that it's I had to be true.
It's his fault that he.
Yeah.
Nice.
We were walking down the street with him. He's like, "F this, F, F, F," and I was like, "Oh, dude, chill, man." It's like
my ears.
saying like nice things. I'm so effing happy about blah 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 and blah blah blah. You know, not like in
Yeah.
a mean way. It's just
Yeah.
like in his natural speech.
Oh.
So you know, I had to like be true to his personality.
Do you think he still talks like that?
When I talk to him on the phone, no, not really.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he does.
That's like teenage Goro.
Yeah, it might be. But you know, he did. This was when, you know, when he first started restaurants, he was definitely speaking that way. So, yeah.
Be interesting to see if
He's got kids now, so hopefully he's toned it down a little bit.
He's still the same. Oh man, I know I go through phases. Like, no, this word is clearly defined now, so I can use it as like a regular word, and then like, man, yeah. Then you pull it back in. Language is an interesting thing. So did you, in terms of bringing it to an end, how much of the, like, did you just go so far over on the page count? You're like, I have to wrap this thing up. You just had so much fun telling the story. How do you actually decide where to reel in?
Well, same way I always decide. I mean, Wendy had to kind of conclude the journey, you know? She had to have like gone through these things and then had a realization and then end up on the other side, you know, ready to start the next chapter or the next book, as it were. So
it's interesting that it wound over. Well, because really you just wrote it and then you had to figure out the kind of logistics of how to take that story that had actually gone way over the page count and bring it back in. Yeah. So you just wrote the story and then you worried about afterwards how to mechanically whittle it down to underneath the page.
Yeah,
count.
I mean,
Okay.
I wasn't so far over that I had to cut chapters or anything. I mean, it was probably 25 pages over, and I easily was able to
Easily made those 25 pages disappear.
Yeah, I might have cut like a paragraph or something. You know, went through like, do I really need this description or whatever? You know, but
What was the editing process like on Dreamworld? Like once everyone realized that it was supposed to be like it was and have so much, you know, 4 chapters of Colorworld in the book. What was the editing process like for Sam and Kristen? Were they just excited right up to the end? Like,
I had this experience, and I think they also had this experience, which what I was pleased with was not feeling the length of the book. So I don't think they ever were like, oh my gosh, can't believe how long this book. Like, I don't think any of them said that.
no.
And I didn't complain at all when I had to go through multiple times to do my edits.
Yeah.
I enjoyed reading it so much over and over again. Like,
Yeah.
I just enjoyed sort of refining things, and I didn't feel like it was long.
I never a single time, and I'm pretty sure with all the books, that was kind of made really clear, kind of really right out of the gate in Colorworld. I could not get over how fast each book read. And, you know, you look at a book this size and you think, oh my gosh, serious readers only, caution, everyone else turn away. This is a book reader's book. But this book too, even this book, I remember thinking, gosh, dang, I don't know how I'm ready to read the next one after this kind of experience, but I'm ready to read the next one. Have you ever been able to identify how it is that your pacing works? So is that something you're doing intentionally? Did you like how do you achieve the pacing that you do?
Well, it's just what I like. I mean, some people, not everybody likes that. You know, some people really want to sort of marinate in the scene and really get a feel for like what's happening. I remember my editor in book 1, she was like, I'd really like to know what they wear. Like, what do they wear?
Oh, really?
You know? And I remember I added, you read Colorworld, you probably spot the place where I talked about clothing.
Oh, yeah. And then never again.
But then it was funny because I feel like I got a review at some point where someone was like, I don't give a crap what she's wearing. Like, you know, so then I kind of left off describing those things unless it was really relevant. So in Dreamworld, for example, she's trying to figure out how's she going to represent herself to the media? Like, what is going to be her thing?
Yeah.
Right? She's just some random white girl with superpowers going to get up in front of people, but she
With
said she kind of wants to establish her brand, if you will.
Okay.
And she recognizes, that Shia is always wearing black. Like, she always wears black. She's black hair. She wears black clothes. And Shia's reason is always like, well, I don't want to have to spend any time thinking about what I'm going to wear. And so it's easy if everything's just black. So that's what she does, because she has no purpose for clothing to, like,
For
look a certain
Shia.
way. And so Wendy decides on the opposite, and she becomes dressed in white. That's her thing. And the only thing that's different is that she'll wear some sort of token of a different color. So she might wear a red scarf, or she might wear a green belt, or like purple something on her hair. Like, she's always got something that is not white, but for the most part, she's dressed in white. And in fact, one of the bodyguards calls her Miss White because she's always wearing white. So that becomes her thing. And then it's kind of a neat image. It was a neat image in my head to see her and Shia kind of walking together. Like, if they're approaching the media, got one in black, and
One in black,
white.
one in white.
And that kind of has people questioning and wondering. And it's kind of a dramatic, I didn't want to overdo Wendy's apparel, but I wanted her to stand out. Like, I didn't want it to be a very vain. I didn't want her to be vain or try to be looking hot, in front of camera. But I wanted her to stand out, and so that's why I put her. That's really the only time that I spent a lot of time thinking about what are people wearing. Yeah, that and Ezra's book, because I've always thought that superheroes should wear cloaks. So they wear cloaks in Ezra's book, and it's awesome. But the group that he's with is a lot more of a cloak wearing type of group.
Yeah.
They kind of like embrace the whole superhero thing, and so they're like, we need uniforms, so.
Oh, Ezra's dream come true.
Yeah. So that's really fun. I'd love for someone to do a piece of fan art of Ezra in his like cloak with like his scar. Be awesome. Be super gritty, and girls would just die.
Girls would go crazy. I always imagine Matt Witt is Ezra. In my head, that's what Ezra looks like. Do you remember Matt that worked for us? Yeah.
Yeah. Could be.
That's in my head.
Well, yeah, that's how Mike drew him in the illustrated edition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't even think he probably saw the Jim Cramer video. Matt's in there, at least briefly, in the elevator when we had those interns way back in the day. Oh man, it's fun times. Do you know when you're right? So you name the council, and you don't really go into.
Well, we know there's a couple sticklers. We know there's a couple of old dudes in there who want things to be the way they are. They don't like this young girl coming up there, calling them out, causing riffraff in the media. So you have those ones, and then you have kind of like your moderates, and then the really cool scene I loved writing was when Wendy just basically holds them hostage. They think that they've called her in to reprimand her and kind of strip her of her title.
Yep.
And she kind of turns it around on them and is like, oh, really? Let me tell you how it is. And basically takes control.
Is that because she does a bunch of research and she learns the process?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, that crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember really being impressed with, I'm a big fan of rules, and I feel like if you know the rules, like you hold the power. Yeah.
That's exactly what she does, and then they begin to realize that she's not
messing around.
There's more to her than just this like young girl,
right? And she gets where she is because of her lineage, right?
Yes.
Like she's somebody that she doesn't know that she is.
Yes, that's kind of revealed a little bit later in Dreamworld. Is where they're trying to hold Gabe accountable for something, and she's like, "Well, he has rights. You're doing this, and you're taking away his rights, and these are his rights, and you haven't even made him aware that he has rights and what his rights are, and this is wrong." And so she, she represents him, and kind of makes
this is well before they know who they are.
Right. So,
Yeah.
yeah. You kind of find out who she is in
What's up, Brittany?
Charlotte. Charlotte is where, you get the Goro, who is Shri. Shri is that council member's name, who's also Shri. Okay, so in his pretend like he's Goro. In his council on the council, he's Shri. So he goes 2 different names, right? Because the council members are not known by.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
I don't.
You do.
Do I?
Yeah, you do. There's no way for you to miss it. Anyway, so that's what Dreamworld is her kind of like, negotiating on Gabe's behalf. And basically showing that, she's not stupid and she does her homework. And but then in a later book is when she's kind of like, she takes over.
So, in a trial, right? The lawyers kind of strategize in terms of like the jurors.
Mm-hmm.
They like make certain predictions that if they get this juror, and this, like, then they can win the verdict, right? They know they need to pick up X number of jurors to get on their side, and then the case will go in their favor. Do you have that like kind of hit list for Wendy? Does Wendy have her like, okay, here's everyone on the council and here's who I need?
Oh, like to help? No, they're pretty intractable until she basically, they kind of force her to really usurp everybody. She was willing to work with them. She's on the council.
Right.
She's willing to work with them. But then when they won't work with her, she's forced to basically become a dictator, as it were, more or less. But then in Charlotte, she does gain an ally on the council. So that's good.
Yes. So then you don't have a list in your head of like who
she's gonna get
who's
favor of.
Right.
Well, there are certain people that I think are more likely to become her allies.
But you're just playing like a game of Clue right now as you write the book?
What do you mean?
Well, when you play a game of Clue, you really start the game like, I don't know. I don't have a clue. It's not these people. This is who it's not. But then everybody else is a suspect.
Oh, sure.
And then as you play the game.
Yes. I don't know who. Ultimately, I don't think that anybody on the council is a villain. But I do think that several of them are so set in their ways that they become villains in a way because they're inhibiting progress and they're creating more problems than they're solving.
So they're not villainous in the maniacal rule the world.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Can you all still hear? Host has paused. Shoot. All right. Maybe he's canceling. All right. Let us know if you can hear the audio again. I had a phone call. Sorry. My dude I was hanging out with later called. Maybe he'll leave a voicemail and they'll be like, I'm breaking up with you. We're not hanging out tonight. Our date's off. It's actually one of Rachel's good friends, her husband. We just both happen to like Cincinnati Bengals. So anyway, so you're really just playing a game of Clue right now.
Yeah.
And okay.
He's calling me now. He has my number.
That's so funny. Should I take the phone call on your?
No, he'll. We're gonna be done soon anyway. So
all right.
Can wait.
I wonder.
You could text him.
Yeah. Custom. Sentiment.
Yeah, so I don't know. There could be some villains in there. So far in my head, there aren't, but you never know.
So
Abram is definitely questionable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely got.
He's sus.
Yeah.
And you're just, that process is just going to be revealed to you, right? You have no preconceived. He's innocent until proven.
Yeah.
They're all innocent until proven
Yeah.
guilty.
Yeah.
That's so funny. How do you know who's? So before you said that you tried not to go too far into each person on the council unless they were immediately relevant. Like, how do you know who's relevant if you're still playing this game of Clue?
How do I know who's still relevant? Well, they're all relevant.
No, meaning you said that you weren't gonna like dive into each person until like. So you're saying like they could just at any moment.
I wrote this scene that I was thinking about putting in Charlotte, but I ended up not putting in Charlotte, in which they kind of choose their sides. So, but off the top of my head, I'm like, I don't remember who I put on which sides. So, you know, like I feel like I had an idea, but at this point, it's kind of it could be any.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're still just like totally blind on the whole. Well, not totally blind, but other than the one or two that you think could be. We know Wendy gets one ally for sure, but then
You've been there before.
oh yeah, that's true. We picked up like a couch. Everybody's still on the table in terms of is anybody, I guess that's really a question for next week, so I guess I'll ask it next week. Is there anybody that we meet in Dreamworld that is on the table to be, I guess everybody that we get in Dreamworld really is, there's nobody that's just a Dreamworld character. Right? Nobody's been added to Dreamworld that's new to the party, that other than the people that don't survive the book. There's no one that gets introduced that doesn't continue, right?
That doesn't continue?
Yeah, it's like you either don't live through Dreamworld or you are part of the story from there on out. There's nobody that's like
Nobody of consequence.
right. That's what I'm saying.
That's always the way it is. If I introduce somebody
and they don't die,
and they have more than a few lines, they're usually going to come back at some point.
Interesting.
Or they're available to come back.
Do you know when you're doing that? Like, do you have an inclination as to the scope? Like Ro, you're like we already know you're looking to bring her back. You just want to have that again. Do you are there people that you like, oh, this person is fun and interesting, I'm gonna look for a place for them to.
Well, there's oh my gosh, what's her name? So essentially the psychiatrist who tries to help Wendy get her memory back. That sort of androgynous gal who is a little crazy. Seems one minute she seems female, and then other minutes she seems male. She's kind of an interesting character, but I don't necessarily think I want to bring her back. She's a little crazy and unpredictable. Yeah. She might make an appearance to like say something, because one of the interesting things that's said about her is that even that the council is afraid of her.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because she absorbs your id. She becomes your innermost self and projects that.
Okay, and that's why she changes.
Not necessarily everybody's gonna want their innermost self out
project.
There.
Yeah.
So. She could come back.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't particularly enjoy her. She was hard. Yeah.
Well, it's a pretty complicated character.
Yeah, she lives in the water house. Because she just needs because otherwise she's constantly absorbing people. She doesn't know how to not do that. So she lives there so that she can kind of be free.
Outside.
Yeah.
But she gets they get it back, right? She's not like.
Oh, by absorb I mean like reflect.
Okay.
She reflects them.
Okay.
She doesn't like steal their soul.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't remember her taking anyone.
No. So that's kind of what makes her good at memory recovery is she can get at who that person is and sort of reintroduce them to who they are.
Which makes sense why she's the therapist.
Yeah.
Yes. And what a cool place to go to have a therapy session, right? A house made out of water.
That'd be cool in the movie. Yeah. Can't wait to like build that set.
That movie's gonna cost a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of. Oh man, we're gonna need all of you to buy a lot of books so that we can make this movie. It's gonna be expensive.
Yeah.
Good thing there's some running room leading up to it. Unless we pull a real Star Wars and we just start here.
Mm.
Can you
I
imagine?
want to do that.
Huh?
The whole story before that.
Well, yeah, but there was a whole story before that in Star Wars too.
Yeah, but no.
But I know. Although when,
He was like, "Wait, people love Star Wars. I should go back and tell the other story."
yeah, it'd be interesting. Has he revealed how much of that was in his head beforehand, or
I have no idea.
people were like, "More Star Wars"? He's like, "Oh man, I have to flush out some of these ideas." It's probably more the speed. He has to
Yeah.
like go back and
tell the
figure
story.
out like, all right, where do all these people come from?
Well, I'm kind of doing that with my next book, Sarah Rowan.
Oh, right.
You know, I'm going back and
Yeah.
exploring her.
I'm excited for that book. They're all good. And that's not just me, the husband. That's like me reading it and be like, oh, this is book worth reading. In fact, your books are the only works of fiction that I've read since I graduated from college.
That's crazy.
I don't think I've read a single other book that's fiction.
No, you read that circus book. Remember that? That was a weird book.
I don't think I could tell you a single thing about that book.
Yeah, because it was just super weird, and I never understood the whole point of it. I read it after you, and I was like, "What?
What? That's interesting. I can't tell you a single thing that happened in that book.
There's something about circus people." And
I remember the
I
cover.
feel like there was an island, and they were escaping or something.
Mm.
Some sort of escape happening. Maybe if I read it again, I'd understand. I don't know. I don't have time for that.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, unless anyone has questions, the phone's ringing. My mom's trying to get me to watch the game, and Moganham's trying to get me to watch a lot of stuff going on. Next week we're gonna dive into the different volumes of.
I need to do Ezra first.
Is Ezra down there? No.
No.
All right. Ezra's back there.
You go there.
All right.
I go here.
Oh, look at you. All right. Next week is Ezra. And I really am excited about this audiobook because 1, Ezra's a great character. 2, Todd Havercorn is the voice of Ezra. And then 3, there's 7 sisters in this book.
Oh my gosh.
All
It's like one chapter
What? That's not one chapter.
of the 7 sisters.
The 7
Yeah,
sisters?
it is.
All happens in one
Yeah.
chapter.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of them might make appearances at places and have like one line or something, but
Well, one of
Yeah.
them is definitely relevant.
one of them is, super relevant. For sure. 2 of them are pretty relevant.
Okay. So there you go. Monica Rial. It's all 7.
She's going to do such a great Thea.
Yeah.
It's going to be so great.
Yeah. I'm excited. It's going to be there. This is going to be a beast. I have to save my pennies for this audiobook. That's a big audiobook. It'll be like days. You'd have to listen to it like for 3 days straight to be able to get through the audiobook. Well, thanks everybody for joining us for this Book Talk Tuesday. We'll see you next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Central. I will see if I can find some time to stream this Friday. I'm by myself. Everybody is getting in a van tomorrow and getting. Oh no! We're just now wrapping up the live stream. But if you have questions about Dreamworld or any of the other books, I don't want to cover up here. There we go. Now we're covering no one's face. If you want to, let me know, or let Rachel know. Certainly happy to answer. Oh, practically busy with homework right now. No worries. We have made all of the Book Talk Tuesdays reviewable on the YouTube channel. So if you haven't really dove into the series yet, but you want to, then you can always go back and watch the previous editions of Book Talk Tuesday, except for the first one, because I literally couldn't find the laptop in order to stream it to YouTube and record it. But all the rest of the Book Talk Tuesdays, book 2, 3, 4, and now 5 are on the YouTube channel. And so as you get into the series, feel free to hit us up on social media or come to the next Book Talk Tuesday, and then you can hijack it and we can talk about the previous book wherever you're at in the series. So thanks everybody for joining us tonight. And we will see you next Tuesday for sure. And hopefully Friday, although I'm sending most of what's in the shop out into the world.
See what happens.
So we'll see if I can pull off something on Friday. We always have bookmarks. I'm sending most of the metal out into the world, and I should have some blank sheets that if somebody wants some larger pieces of metal, that I can just make them, because that's what we do here at Colorworld. And we looked at a new building today. By new, I mean new to us. The building is nowhere near new for the restaurant. So big things coming to Colorworld. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Be on the lookout. I will certainly post if any toys randomly show up, because they definitely randomly hit our business account when they ship toys. Then we could definitely reveal some toys on Free Shipping Friday for sure. Thanks everybody for joining us. If you're going to be at KatsuCon or Connuga, Chattanooga, Tennessee, or National Harbor, Maryland.
It's like Baltimore.
I was going to say, I have to think that's somewhere near Baltimore.
For sure, it's Baltimore.
Most of Maryland is near Baltimore.
Yeah, pretty much is Baltimore.
Yeah, it's like Baltimore and DC, and then like Maryland. It's like the state of Maryland. Go look at a map. This is Maryland, and then like here's DC and Baltimore. Like DC is down here, and Baltimore is up here, and then like
New York.
Yeah.
Or like everything between
Yeah.
New Jersey. And
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye. That's the wrong button. I feel like I did that. Oh, we have to say goodbye on 2 platforms. Actually, more like 7 platforms. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Au revoir.